Singles are absolutely critical for generating buzz and promoting an artist's new record, but creating a hit single is much easier said than done, because these tracks have to pull double duty and stand on their own, as well as fit into the overall record. No band manages to nail this every time, which is why in today's video, we're ranking every Alter Bridge single ever released. Now, there are way too many singles to cover in one video, unless you want to be here for the rest of the day. So today we're only discussing a certain kind of single. You see, when an artist releases a single, it falls into one of two categories: commercial or promotional. Promotional singles are released for free to promote an album, whereas commercial singles are released, well, commercially. The split for Alter Bridge is about 50-50 for commercial versus promotional, so in this video, I'm just gonna focus on the commercial singles. If you wanna see a full list of tracks for either category, I've left a link in the description below that you can check out. Otherwise, stick around to the end to find out my choices for the best commercial singles Alter Bridge have ever made. As you can probably tell from my channel, Alter Bridge is by far my favorite band. And I don't believe that they have any genuinely bad songs, singles or otherwise. That said, while I am going to place songs at the bottom of this list and therefore refer to them as worse than others, keep in mind that I still enjoy every song we're about to discuss more than pretty much anything by any other artist. With all that out of the way, let's introduce our candidates. On average, Alter Bridge releases 2 to 3 commercial singles per record, with fluctuations caused by the total number of tracks on an album, in addition to the primary method of media consumption when the album was released. Overall, we have a pretty even distribution of songs from each album and era of Alter Bridge, but you may notice some trends appearing as we get further into it. And to keep things organized, let's sort these alphabetically, which means we're starting off with a bang with Addicted to Pain. There is a reason that this song is still played at every concert a decade after its release. Addicted to Pain is hands down one of the best songs Alter Bridge have ever written, period. There are few songs in existence that capitalize on every aspect of a band's talents, but this track manages to do so with ease. The opening riff hits with the power of a nuclear bomb, and it only gets better from there. Miles's vocals are at an all-time high, and Mark delivers possibly one of the greatest solos of his entire career following an incredible breakdown in the bridge. Scott and Brian are an unstoppable force here, and this track just begs you to headbang till you have a headache when you hear it live. It's no surprise why this song hit number 4 on the Billboard mainstream rock charts and then stayed there for over half a year. I can only imagine the insanity that must have occurred when Alter Bridge dropped this song as the first big single for Fortress. S tier for Addicted to Pain, without a doubt. Next up, we have the 4th single from 2007's Blackbird, Before Tomorrow Comes. If I had to describe this song in one word, it would be anticipation. The whole track lives and breathes the feeling of anxiously awaiting the future to see what it has to hold. I'll be honest, I have no idea how they captured this in a song so well, but as much as I love the track's inspirational message and optimistic instrumentals, it's just not a good pick for a single. Before Tomorrow Comes does not feel like a standalone track in the slightest. I can rarely listen to it without expecting another better single to follow it. This is due to the same feeling I just praised, the feeling of anticipation that this song so skillfully demonstrates and relies upon. In the context of the album, it's fantastic as it leads you into the next song perfectly, but as a single, it just feels incomplete. For that reason, Before Tomorrow Comes lands in C tier. Up next is Broken Wings, a longtime fan favorite and staple of the live set list. But I'm gonna say something possibly heretical about this song. As a single, it is D tier. Sure, it's a fun sing-along track for the audience, and it's one of the band's most well-known tracks, but let's look at the bigger picture. This song does not reflect Alter Bridge as a band. Plain and simple. Broken Wings is much more reminiscent of a Creed single than Alter Bridge, which should come as no surprise considering how Wind Up Records basically wanted Alter Bridge to be the next Creed. But that's not who they were then, nor who they are now, and the performance of this song mirrored that. While other singles from One Day Remains were hitting the top 5 for Billboard's mainstream rock charts, this one barely cracked the top 30. It's a fine song, no doubt about it, but not representative of the band at large, and certainly not the best choice for a single from its album. Heading back to Fortress for Cry of Achilles, we hit the first song that really made me question whether or not I actually wanted to make this video. You see, part of me just wants to say that every song is amazing and they all deserve S tier, but that's the little Alter Bridge gremlin brain talking. The logical side of me understands that not every song can live at the top, even if it's one of my favorite tracks. That's why I'm putting Cry of Achilles in B tier. Do I think this song is incredible and one of the coolest tracks they've ever written? Of course. Do I think it was the best choice of a single to represent the album? Not really. It's a badass way to start the record, showing how this band has evolved to new songwriting and compositional heights, but it's also rather dense and complex for a single. Of course, that's kind of what Alter Bridge is known for now, so it's not like this is a one-off situation. But the sheer complexity of parts for this track just doesn't feel quite right for a single, especially when you're trying to follow up one of the best they've ever made. On the plus side, the music video for this track is epic. And the fact that it was animated by a fan, no less, makes it even better. Just like with the previous song, Find the Real is another track that I personally love, but its capabilities as a single are lacking. Like with Broken Wings, this song just isn't a good representation of Alter Bridge as they are now. Miles's macho vocals are fun, but not indicative of his vocal purity and technique. And while Mark's soloing is pretty good, possibly some of the best from this album, it just can't compete with other songs on this list. If the band had wanted a single of a similar style that would have been a much better fit, there's an obvious replacement. Metalingus, the one song the band has made that seems like it should be a commercial single due to its overwhelming popularity, but in fact, never was. Find the Real was chosen instead and takes a spot in C tier. Our first song from 2010's AB3 makes an appearance with Ghost of Days Gone By. This song was one of my favorites when I first discovered Alter Bridge almost a decade ago. I loved the intricate drum parts in the verse and how massive the chorus is compared to the rest of the song. And while I still think it's a great song now, my love for this track has waned over the years. You'll rarely hear me refer to an Alter Bridge song as overrated, but I kind of feel like this song fits that description for me. I had my phase where it was constantly playing on repeat, but I've since moved on to different music. As for its performance as a single, this track does successfully accomplish the task of informing audiences that AB3 is dark and heavy and different compared to its predecessor, especially with the hard left turn that happens during the outro. However, I just don't think it holds up to the same level of quality as the tracks that dominate the top of this list. For that reason, I'm putting it right in the middle at B tier. Godspeed, the second single from Alter Bridge's experimental 2019 album Walk the Sky, falls all the way to the bottom in D tier. Whether you're looking at this track as a single or as part of an album, it is just underwhelming. I remember hearing this song for the first time when it was released, and it was honestly quite the disappointment. This wasn't the high energy, aggressive Alter Bridge I'd fallen in love with, but rather a mellow, synth-dominated group with a singer who sounded pretty much like Miles. In terms of generating hype for an album, this song did the opposite, and actually made me less excited for Walk the Sky. For a single, that's basically a death sentence. Considering that this record had more combined commercial and promotional singles than any other Alter Bridge album, I think they should have been a little more picky with which songs made the cut, because this one is not on the same level as others. That brings us to the most recent single added to the list, Holiday, from last year's Pawns and Kings. After my first time hearing this record, I felt that this song was a little different from the others, but that it would ultimately make for a pretty darn good single if the band went down that road. Fast forward to January of 2023 when the band announced this song as a single with a dope music video, and I felt so vindicated that my prediction had come true. Holiday may not have every trait that makes a perfect rock single, but it certainly has a lot of them. It's super catchy, got a great groove, lots of energy, and shows off several members of the band at once. It's arguably one of the band's most unique songs, as they tend not to write songs in swung triplets or in first person, but it still sounds like an Alter Bridge track nonetheless. I won't go so far as to say it's on the level with Addicted to Pain, but it is a hell of a lot of fun whether you're listening to the recording or watching it played live. Solid B tier. If you're looking for a song that can compete with Addicted to Pain, then there's really no better choice than the lead single from AB3, Isolation. With possibly one of the heaviest riffs the band has composed to date, this song just doesn't hold back. It's got the oomph and groove of classic rock mixed with the weight and intricate melodies of modern rock and metal. Miles and Mark's combined vocals are phenomenal, and the many solos that interject between phrases are so tasty. Then we get to the bridge, which is unlike anything Alter Bridge had written at that point, and then we ride the wave of incredible music all the way to the end. That hard break at the start of the final chorus gives me chills every time I hear it. And just like with Addicted to Pain, I can only imagine how batshit crazy people must have been when they heard this song as the primer for the new record. The fact that the band was able to recreate this success with their following album as well just makes me appreciate both tracks that much more. Without a doubt, Isolation earns its spot alongside Addicted to Pain in S tier. It's as they often say, what comes up must always come down. And there's no escaping that for our next song. We were riding high with Isolation, but with My Champion, we are all the way back in D tier. With every album, Alter Bridge tries to mix up their singles to provide a wide variety of music to fans prior to the album's release. They tend to lead with a high-energy, radio-friendly track to get listeners hyped, and then progressively get more experimental and varied from there. My Champion is a prime example of this. The track is mid-tempo and highly melodic, in the same vein as Ghost of Days Gone By or Before Tomorrow Comes. But as we've seen with both, this type of song often does not lend itself well to the idea of a commercial single. When this track came out, it did absolutely nothing to get me excited for The Last Hero. It's a decent song within the context of the record, but on its own, it just does not hold up to the other singles on this list. Before we head into the second half, I want to see your rankings. I've created a tier maker template that you can use to create your own free tier list, which you can access using the link in the description below. Hit me up on social media with your rankings or drop a link to yours in the comments below. And if you want to go the extra mile to support Countercultured, the easiest way to do so is by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. The support of this community is what keeps me going to make videos, so I really do appreciate it a lot. You may have noticed by now that I've neglected to place any songs in A tier. And it's not because I'm worried about hurting their feelings by saying they're just short of perfect. Rather, the next group of songs just so happen to make up the entirety of A tier. Since they're all near the front of the pack, so to speak, let's burn through the next 5 songs in a speed round. Native Son, the third single from Walk the Sky, is possibly one of the coolest songs from its entire record and excels as a single. It's got the same power as our 2 S tier singles with a very unique riff and catchy chorus. It's not quite as show-stopping as Isolation or Addicted to Pain, but it's a great song and I wish it made more appearances in the live set as well. Open Your Eyes is the OG single that started it all, and considering its overwhelming popularity through Alter Bridge's career, you can't really slot this one anywhere below A tier. It's possibly the best representation of early Alter Bridge before Miles joined on guitar, and it makes for a great sing-along and encore track for live shows. Though I wouldn't mind them swapping it for something else since it's been played non-stop for 20 years. Speaking of which, the next single, Rise Today, is also frequently used for encores, and it's no question why. The empowering chorus lyrics and sweeping guitar solos are perfect for ending shows on a high note and leaving audiences feeling unstoppable. It's a great track that rarely gets old. Next one is one of my personal favorites, Show Me a Leader, the leading single and track from album number 5, The Last Hero. This was the first new song by Alter Bridge to come out after I had started to listen to them in earnest, and suffice to say, it had me absolutely hysterical. The guitar solo is in my top 5 favorite solos of all time, and the whole track is so groovy and satisfying every time. I know that there are a lot of haters out there for The Last Hero, but I will always maintain that it is a quality record, and it's led by one of the best singles and opening tracks the band has written. And finally, that brings us to the leading single from the most recent record, Silver Tongue. Now, I won't claim to have loved this song from day one, but I've since come around on this track, and I gotta say, it is a certified banger. It was most definitely the perfect choice to lead Alter Bridge's commercial charge for Pawns and Kings, and I have no idea why it didn't perform as well in the charts as some of the past singles. It's a great way to open the live shows and a solid single in every regard. All right, that was a lot, but the good news is that we're almost done. 3 songs left, and none of them go in the same tier. If you want, take a guess as to where I'm gonna place them and let me know in the comments. I have a feeling at least one of them might surprise you. Let's start with Ties That Bind. This track is a little odd compared to all others on this list, as it was only released as a single in the UK and Europe, meaning that the United States never got to hear it as a method of hyping Blackbird. I'm not sure what fueled this decision, but I gotta say, it does not help its case. I just can't hear this song as a single for Alter Bridge. I've always thought that Blackbird is a little all over the place musically speaking, so using this song to demonstrate what the record is all about feels odd. It's a decent song on its own, but it's never jived with me as a single, let alone an album opener. I know I'm possibly in the minority here, but hey, it's my list and I can do what I want. Ties That Bind goes in C tier because I'm feeling generous. Next is the only remaining single from Blackbird, the revered Watch Over You. Would it surprise anyone if I said that this deserves nothing less than S tier? In terms of big power ballads that aren't 7 minutes long, this track is the cream of the crop. The lyrics are just gorgeous, and Miles' vocals are impeccable. It's no wonder why this song has over 60 million streams on Spotify alone. It's definitely one of the band's best and most popular songs. Miles himself knew that this was a big track when he was writing it, but I doubt he knew just how popular it would become. It's vastly different from most other songs on this list, but it does so in a way that demonstrated a whole new side of the band and showed prior to release that the album would have a lot of depth. Blackbird wasn't about to be a repeat of One Day Remains, but instead something completely different. And if that doesn't sum up Alter Bridge's style in a nutshell, I don't know what does. With that, we've reached the final entry on today's list. Wouldn't You Rather, the leading single from 2019's Walk the Sky. If you couldn't tell by now, Alter Bridge tends to release the same type of song for their first single with each album. Rise Today, Isolation, Addicted to Pain, and Show Me a Leader all have relatively similar vibes. And if you skip ahead to Silver Tongue, the trend continues. However, not all of them are bullseyes. And that's where Wouldn't You Rather comes in. This song does essentially the same things as all the ones I just mentioned, but with less conviction and a harder to grasp message. The primary riff is great, but the chorus just lacks something to take it over the top. I remember that when it came out, it did sufficiently get me excited for the record, but not on the same level as Show Me a Leader or Silver Tongue. When all is said and done, Wouldn't You Rather was a decent choice for an opening single, but I think it could have been better, which is why I'm placing it firmly in B tier. So there we go. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Let me know your tier lists in the comments. Singles are most often a band's most popular songs as they're getting played on radio stations and at concerts more so than any other tracks. But Alter Bridge has many more great songs than just their singles. Some of their best songs are actually ones that were never included on a standard record to begin with. These ones, of course, being referred to as bonus tracks or B-sides. And if you want to find out my ultimate ranking for every Alter Bridge bonus track ever released, you can check out this video right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.